Alright, this is Starseed Bey. Today I'm going to talk about meditation and looking at different aspects of it, and learning on how meditation itself is a tool used to not only connect with ETs, but it's also a way to connect with your inner self. It's multitasking. Meditation is a amazing tool that I feel is misunderstood in a lot of ways. So we're going to kind of dig deep into meditation today. So I want to make sure I spelled it right. So the definition of meditation, it can be defined as a practice where an individual focuses his or her mind on a particular object, thought, or activity to achieve a mentally clear and emotionally calm state. Meditation may be used to reduce stress, anxiety, depression, and pain. It may be done while sitting, repeating a mantra, and closing the eyes in a quiet or dark environment. Meditation has been practiced since antiquity, whatever that word is, in numerous religious traditions and beliefs since the 19th century. So meditation is a therapy used progress, and I really feel that a lot of people hold on here, there we go. All right, so I feel that meditation, I think people try too hard with meditation. When I started learning on what meditation was, or what I was trying to focus on, I really didn't know the full grasp of meditation. I really had to just explore with it, try to learn what it was, because I was born and raised in a Christian home, so I knew what praying was. I prayed, but I never really did any kind of meditation. I kind of experimented when I was a teenager, just because of the essence of something different. But I never really got into it until 2010, when I really started to explore the meditations process. And I really had to just figure it out for myself, because I watched tons of videos. I watched tons of fear videos about meditation, on how you don't want to open yourself up. You're going to allow demons and evil spirits to get into you, the third eye's evil, and all that stuff. I mean, it was uncanny, just how much fear was put into things. But I had to keep going with it and find out for myself. And during 2010, I was really starting to learn about being empathic. Hey, how's it going, Matt? But I was really learning to be empathic, and I was always empathic since I can remember. I just wasn't aware of what it was. So I really started having a lot of I wouldn't say delusions, but in a way it was, because I constantly felt like there was beings watching over me, messing with me, things of that nature. So when I was going through meditation, I was really starting to get more of an anxiety feeling, that constant being watched, and it really is a trippy experience. And that's just my experience, because some people who go through meditation just go through the ums and ohms and the mantra concept, holding the fingers together, right? Just going through a process of what you're taught in some kind of basic teachings, but they don't really grasp the concept of what meditation is. Meditation is a communication tool to communicate with different beings and with your inner self, because just alone, your inner self, there's just so many beings just in yourself alone. It's uncanny. This is where your personas come in. and your thought processes and things of that nature. So, while I was going through these meditation states and just kind of feeling like I was hallucinating in a lot of ways, because I began to see shadow beings again, but just really started to see more of real feeling people. I don't know if I was seeing ghosts at the time and things like that. That was my mindset. I didn't know if I was seeing ghosts and stuff like that. But I can always feel presences and spirits and things like that. So I had to learn on how to shield and protect myself when I was studying these meditation processes. So, so going through all these processes, I really learned that all this meditation stuff is just a self-discovery. No matter how many videos you watch, how many processes that you go through meditation, meditation is your own personal journey and exploration of self, and it's a lot of fun. It really is. But I feel a lot of people put too much focus into it. I don't know how many hours I spent just studying meditation and trying not to fall asleep. And that was one of the key things, was trying not to fall asleep. My gosh, man, it was tough. It really was. But during the processes of falling asleep and staying awake, you really start to get these visions of places, of beings, and things of that. Little flashes of memories start projecting through your third eye, your magi eye, because that's where everything's coming from. Because if you close your eyes, right? If you close your eyes, you see darkness. So where would these images come from? It's like a projection being played through your mind's eye. So you self-learn that third eye is real, right? That third eye is real, that there is a projection that is happening. You are watching some form of video right before your eyes. It's an uncanny experience. So what are we looking for, right? What are we looking for when we are meditating? What is your will and intent during meditation? This is one of the key things that I really feel that if you are starting meditation, is what is your will and intent? What are you looking for? Like myself, I wanted to learn everything. I wanted to evolve. I wanted to know what was going on beyond the veil. I was wanting to know about all these underground bases I was reading about, and these ET beings that rule the world, and things like that. So my will and intent, when later on, when I was beginning to go through the processes of being able to see projections, let me get back to the beginning. So when you start your meditation process, you got to learn on how your third eye works. You got to realize that it's just like a muscle. You have to learn on how to channel or harness the energy. Where are you focusing that energy to? And a lot of people are like, well, they just see darkness. Well, the key thing is that while you may see darkness, eventually you're going to start seeing colors. And a lot of people will tell you they'll see colors. They'll start seeing blues and greens and red and yellow, and they'll just kind of pulsate as you have your eyes closed. And as it's pulsating, you'll begin to start to really feel the pressure and the focus on where your third eye is, because it's activating that muscle within yourself. It's a bizarre experience. It really is. But once you get those colors, that's when you start going, okay, so what is my will and intent? What is coming into play? And there's many different factors. You can instantly start getting images. You can start seeing faces of some kind. You can even see an eye. Now, a lot of people have said that they will just see an eye, right? It's basically where it looks like there's just one eye just staring right back at you. Most trippiest thing you'll ever experience. But it's it's just a realization. Hey, you're looking through your mind's eye, and you just go from there. And it's bizarre. I mean, it's a parable world, mythological world of imagination and all that. It's quite bizarre, quite bizarre. So when you're going through meditation, and you're wanting to discover things, you got to allow it to flow through you. This is why I say the images will start to play through you. Is you want it to just play it out. A lot of people really focus, including myself at the time, was focusing on what I wanted to see. I wanted to see aliens. I wanted to see angels. I wanted to know what was going on. All these people were all talk of saying, hey, you can do this, 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 and this, and this. And, I was like, man, this is frustrating me. I want to know how this works. So, again, I just had to spend hours and hours and hours trying to figure it out. And I had to use a candle technique just to kind of get myself focused. So there's that candle technique. I also had to kind of just close my eyes and just kind of squint my eyes really tight to get that star feeling when you go through meditation. And that can help you a lot too in trying to find out how meditation works and getting those colors going. So anyway, will and intent. So my will and intent, again, was I wanted to learn on how things worked. And I just decided to start exploring, remote viewing. That's basically what I decided to do. So I just imagined myself and began to see it through my mind's eye of flying and just observing things from a first-person perception. So I just started just remote viewing through things, going, hey, I want to go and see what's going on. So I would go and look at these underground bases, go above the clouds, just kind of just fly around to get a wide perception of what this meditation thing is. And while I was going through this process, I ended up coming in contact with these gray ET beings. And basically, how I can describe it is while I was flying around, remote viewing things, this ET being just kind of just showed up right in front of my face. And I felt a lot of pressure around my head. And it just felt like that being was wanting to shut me off. It was like, hey, you can't be doing this. You're not supposed to be able to do this. So I bypassed it, and it was pretty creepy. It was a weird experience, but I wanted to continue on. I didn't want it to overflow me, so I generated the shield of protection and prayer just to guide me and protect me as I explore these environments. So I was able to later on, and this is a process. I mean, this story wasn't just a one-day thing. This was a process of just every day just meditating over and over and over and over again. I spent a good 2 years from 2011 to 2012 doing some really heavy meditation constantly. So I was able to really explore in depth on it. So I was able to get the fear factor out of when a being showed up. I wasn't going to go, okay, what's going on? So I was able to explore these underground bases, learn on how everything is used psychically as a whole, and we're all connected psychically, empathically. Everyone is connected in that way. And that's really a thing that we need to realize as well, is that we're all empathic by nature. And this is where all these thought patterns come from that aren't necessarily ours. It's, everybody gets that same thing. Hey, where did this thought come from? I wasn't thinking about this. You can get some really weird thoughts, and you're like, where'd that thought come from? So that's where you pay attention to your surroundings and just realize, that not all these thoughts are yours. And once you realize not all these thoughts are yours, it really generates a sense of peace in a way, because you realize, one, that you're a lot more than just thoughts alone, because a lot of people focus so much on their thoughts that they lose touch with their own inner self, with their own beauty that they are. And that's a huge process you got to learn as well. So through all this remote viewing and everything, I was able to learn on how to contact different kind of beings. So I started using my third eye and started doing energetic work, right? Energetic work or energy work, because I needed to learn on how to focus this energy, because it's not just about opening the mind through meditation, but it's learning on how to flow, allowing the energy to flow through you. And the only way you can really explain it is like when you have a cup, right? You have a cup and you fill it with water, right? You fill it with water until it almost overflows, right? And that's what you have to do with the energy within your body. You have to feel the energy flow through you. And it's a process. It really is. I had to learn to use my imagination, and then I had to learn on the main points of your energy. So I had to learn through my hands on how energy worked, and made it so then I felt the energy through my hands, and then I had to learn how to make the energy flow through my feet. Because I never did it before, I had to take baby steps in that process to learn on how energy works. So with energy, I had to plant my feet. I'd go outside and just plant my feet in the ground and just start focusing on the earth feeding me energy like I was a tree. So I would act as my feet were the roots, and then I just felt it flow through my body. So I began to feel the tingling sensation, like say if your hand's asleep or your foot's asleep, right? You feel that tingling sensation, and you have to start building it up. So you let your feet be the roots, and you start to feel it move through your legs, and you continue to have it move up through your legs, and then just start flowing up through here, flow out through your hands, and then flow out through your head. So when you begin to feel the full flow of energy, you really begin to understand that connection that we have with everything, that we're all one. I made a video a long time ago called the Apsu energy, and it was Apsu and Anu and Apsu. The Apsu story is all about water, and water flows, and it's just like Bruce Lee says that be water, my friend. And that means that you need to learn on how that energy flows like water. If you look up rivers or currents or things like that, and you live above it, it actually generates energy. You can feel the energy flowing through the water. It's quite an amazing experience. So getting back to channeling these beings, I was getting used to all these energetic or energy training. So I would close my eyes to these training sessions and just kind of imagine myself being in like a holodeck, like Star Trek, and begin to use my arms, and project energy out of my arms. So I would project like swords or ropes or things like that. Use your imagination. And that's where I learned on how to use energy, was through these simulation programs that I set up for myself. And this is, and this is such an amazing thing to look at, is because the meditation, the mind, the imagination, you put that all together, my gosh, man, it's an amazing experience. I mean, it's just like playing a video game, but Star Trek style. You're creating your own holographic matrix for yourself, and it was an amazing experience. And it wasn't just because of my imagination that created this, but there was beings that were there guiding me and teaching me these things. Um, and you can call these beings, and I'm going to say that they were guardians, because if you look out through history, we always have a guardian angel that's always there protecting and guiding us always. Um, just because that's just kind of how the physical and the spiritual world work together. Because you may be in a physical world, but it's more spiritual than physical. That's something you have to discover for yourself. So while I was doing all these simulations, I was getting showed how to open up timelines. This is where I learned about timelines. And I'll talk further about these, because all of my experiences, I never read any books. I was self-taught all this stuff, and this is where I learned about timelines and jumping through timelines. I only heard one person that talked about this stuff, was Rian, and he had awakened around the same time I did. So he was about like the only person I watched, and we were real similar in our experiences. So I started to learn on how to bring these higher dimensions down to where I am. I had to start opening up these gateways and portals, and open up these energy frequencies, so then I can get a better grasp of what was going on. Getting in true contact with that spiritual self, whether it's the fourth dimension, fifth dimension, whatever it may be. I had to explore all these, so I would just imagine these rings, but what I saw was that they were locked, so I had to learn how to unlock these rings that were above me. So I would grab these rings, I'd pull them down, and then I'd project them right in front of me, and then I would see these symbolisms, and I would have to do these symbolisms to unlock them. So I'd write down these symbolisms, and then I would turn the key, and then I would push it down, and then it would allow me to go into a different dimensional state. And I just kept doing that over and over again. I would just pull these rings down, unlock the door or the gateway, and then push them down again, and then just kept doing it over and over and over and over again. And this is where I started seeing the different layers, or the higher selves, or higher dimensions. This is where I began to meet many different kind of beings, and it was quite interesting. And you really have to, since your mind isn't used to this stuff, you really have to simplify things. And I think this is where a lot of people are like, well, hey, there's a fourth dimension, fifth dimension, sixth dimension, and just start naming them that way. And that's what I had to do myself, is as I was meeting each different kind of being, I had to name it as a dimension of some kind. And as a whole, all dimensions are the same. We're all running simultaneously. And that's something that I'll have to talk about later. I'll get sidetracked on that. So I ended up meaning different kind of beings with different kind of abilities. So I learned on how to, I think one of the very first ones that I met was a being that taught me on how to move my spiritual body in different ways, and realizing that it's not limited to just the physical body and how the physical body moves, but you can move your spiritual body in many different ways, different shapes, different forms. And I really learned some really bizarre things. And that being also taught me how to change my DNA as well. And that definitely is a controversial subject about changing your DNA. But it's once you learn how to do it, it's definitely you begin to see the signs. And I would say one of the main things when my body was changing is that I used to eat meat all the time, and I hardly ate any vegetables or nothing like that. But in 2010, I stopped eating beef and pork, and I was just eating chicken and fish, right? I just stopped cold turkey, and my body was going into shock. But I just kept striving and kept going. So this being taught me how to shift my DNA to better adjust to what I needed to be. And you have to adjust your DNA as you go through these different kind of simulations or dimensions. Because there's a lot of times where I felt like I was just going to be sick, traveling through each dimension, because it changes your frequency, your matter, everything changes. It's a bizarre experience. And as I was continuing on, I learned a lot from that being. I learned about nature. There was this big, tall being. He was kind of like a tree creature, and he really taught me about the nature aspect of things and how life is all connected. How I can flow energy, and that's again where I learned more about energy. Is how to flow energy through life. How to give people good energy, good vibrations. How to heal negative vibrations, and things like that. I was taught all these things on how to heal and project energy, right? How to project energy. So I showed all these things from all these different beings, and it was an uncanny experience. But as a whole, it was my experience, and I think that's really where I really broke the barriers of what meditation is that meditation is a tool to help you and guide you through life. So that's the making contact part of meditation. So we'll move into the inner self of meditation. So there's many different things that you can use with meditation. Again, you can be in contact with ET beings. You can heal your body. You can shift your body. You can shift your energy. But one of the most important things about meditation is learning about your inner self. Learning that you can heal your mind, your body, your soul, and your spirit. You have this opportunity to do self-healing. There's so many people that struggle with life issues, whether it be traumatic experiences, depression, they just can't get out, or they can't be open. They feel isolated, anxiety, things like that, right? So they go to all these psychiatrists and things like that, trying to better their lives, but it's an outside source. So once you leave that outside source, that person that you were talking to, I'm sure you can make progress, and I have seen people make progress through that aspect, but you really have to learn on how to do that inner self-healing as well. And that's through meditation and praying as well. So with this inner work, again, you can use your mind's eye to learn on how to work on yourself. So again, that's where you just sit to the meditation state in a darkened room and close your eyes and see what happens. With your will and intent is, I need to heal myself. I want to be the best version of me, right? I don't want to be haunted by my past. I don't want to be stressed out all the time because of everything that's going on, or that things don't go my way. Different things like that. It allows you to progress through your life. And there we go. Yeah, so you get stressed out, anxiety issues, empathic. People who are empathic, who are in tune with that, man, that really, really messes you up. And this is really where you have to learn on how to do meditation and relieve some of that empathic downloads that you received as well, because that in itself can be really, really tough, especially if they're thoughts that aren't yours. Downloading different people's thoughts and ideas that you don't want in your stream. And energy as well. You shake someone's hand, you give someone a hug, they release some of that energy to you, so you have a part of them that you're taking home with you. And that's another subject I can talk about as well. I could talk forever. So with this inner self is, you want to look at your will and intent on what you want to heal within yourself. So if a thought pops up, like a past trauma, so say you were abused in some way, this is where you're going to want to have to watch the projection, and it can be definitely a very struggling thing to watch. So, but the point is, when you are observing these negative aspects, right? We'll just use that, negative experiences. You have to learn to forgive that experience. And it doesn't mean that what happened to you was right, but you need to learn to forgive that experience, because that allows you that relief. When you forgive something, you feel that relief. Like say you yelled at, say you got in a fight with your parents, right? You're a teenager, you got in a fight with your parents, and you say, "Oh, I hate you," blah blah blah, right? And something happened, and you feel that sense of guilt. You feel that sense of guilt. So then you go to your parents later on, and you're like, "Oh, hey, forgive me. I didn't mean to be mean, right? I didn't mean to be mean and angry like that. I was just frustrated at the time." So it gives you that sense of peace. You allowed it to be forgiven. Like I said, you don't have to agree with what happened to you, but you forgive it. And once you forgive it, then the healing process starts. And then you want to view the image, right? Because you're watching it just like a projector. It's through meditation state. Is you want to look at that image, and you can burn it, break it, destroy it, whatever it may be. You want to physically see yourself destroy this image, this past experience, and then just watch it explode. And what happens with that is that you have just generated the memory of that memory disappearing. And it is such a such a relief when that happens, because you have forgiven that experience and you have released it out of your being. Um, and it's not permanent, but it definitely allows you to look at that, and just, you can tell yourself, hey, I just got rid of that experience. I feel so relieved that I was able to actually heal that out of my being. It's an amazing experience. And the more and more you do this, the more and more clarity you have in your life each day. You'll wake up and just go, man, I feel great. I don't feel like I did before. I don't feel sluggish in life. I'm not having these flashbacks like I was before. Because when you have traumatic experiences, those flashbacks will come back. I mean, you talk with people that have had similar experiences, and those flashbacks will come back to you. But once you learn on how to heal those memories and get rid of those memories, when people are talking about it, it's not a dread of, oh man, now I'm gonna remember what happened to me when I was a child again. It's oh hey, how can I help this person heal their trauma that they had, right? You get into that mindset of healing, helping them heal. You're wanting to help them heal because you learn on how to heal yourself. And that's one of the key things is, once you learn how to heal yourself, you can help others heal as well. And this is also the power of prayer. And prayer, again, really needs to come back and not be looked at as a religious dogma, right? Prayer is looked at as a religious dogma, but prayer is a energy tool, a healing tool, that helps your spiritual being, your inner being. It's a therapy. It's an amazing experience. I mean, you're working with healing spirits, and I can actually talk about this. So what are healing spirits, right? Healing spirits, or your guides. Healing spirits are around you at all times. And when you learn on how to tap into the physical realm and the spiritual realm, you'll begin to realize everything is energy. I was talking to somebody and I told them, as a whole, life really is kind of like a vampire type structure, because we are feeding energy. We are feeding currents of energy through everything. Some beings feed, and then some beings give energy away. But as a whole, it's just like flowing water. It's just a constant current of energy flowing through. So, what are healing beings? So I learned again from Rion. He talked about this med team, and I was like, med team? What is this med team? So I started to just, when I go into my meditation state, because I do it every night. You go into a meditation state and say, hey, focusing on the beings that surround you, the energy currents and things like that, because once you tap into the energy realm, everything is energy, always. So I would focus on different parts that I would need it healed. I would say, hey, can you work on my third eye? Can you work on opening and unclogging any energy blockages that I may have? Through my head, through my legs, my arms, my chest, whatever it may be, you can feel out your body and you can know exactly what needs to be healed. If you need your whole body healed, say, hey, med team, can you heal my whole body? And you will feel them around your whole being, just like when I would sleep in bed. All these beings would just surround my whole bed, and you would just feel the energy of healing, and that's the power of prayer. It is the same thing. It's an energy tool. And it's an amazing experience, and I still do it to this day, because you can get stuff attached to your spirit body, just like a little leech. Little parasites and things like that will attach on to your spirit body. So you have to learn how to heal your spirit body. And that's where you just have to do different healing techniques, learning how to keep your shield up and things like that. And when you do these healing processes, you really begin to feel a change in your body. You begin to feel that sense of clarity, and that's what praying is as well. Is a physical form of these spiritual healing entities taking charge. Because what are you doing when you're praying? You are using your energy, the power of prayer. Like when someone puts their hand on you, say, I pray in the name of Jesus to heal this person so that he can hear again, he can see again. Any pain that may be through his body, may that be released from him today. The power of prayer is an amazing tool. And again, I can't stress this enough, man, that we have to look at prayer in a different way. And that's not attached to religious dogma. So that's the healing process of prayer. Prayer is a healing process. You can also look into Reiki healing. Is the same process as praying. It uses the same tools, same frequency. In praying, if there's one person that's really sick, just like the prayer I did for an example, you get 6, 10, 12 people with their hands out. And where does energy come from? Energy comes from the palm of your hands. You have that ability through your hands. So you're sending out your energy, your will and intent to heal this person. And what happens, when it is real, what happens? You'll hear so many testimonies of people saying that, yeah, my body was in a lot of pain, but then they prayed for me and my body was healed. My body was healed. Where does that come from? Doctors can't explain those kind of situations. Where does that energy come from? Again, that's where you really realize, that life isn't just a physical experience. There's something more to life. There's something more to life that's going on. And that is the spiritual essence of things, the energy, the synergy that surrounds us daily. And we have that gift and tool to help us in life, to help heal others, to help guide each other, progress through life, just connecting with everything. I mean, you can talk to a plant, and it will grow and blossom just because of the vibrations that you're sending to that plant. It shows that connection and oneness, and it astonishes me that people just don't believe that stuff to be real. Don't believe that stuff to be real. No matter how many testimonies that people have, and like I said, if it's 50 people, 1,000 people, 1,000,000 people having the exact same experiences, then it's real. I mean, it is defined as real because they're all having the same experiences. This is why it's so important to share your testimonies and share um, your life, because this allows you to share your testimonies with others, and to be that voice. And that's what I always talk about. You want to be that voice that you can't be at the time, right? Um, you're you you feel shy. I mean, you want to talk about your experiences, but you don't know how people are going to react to your choices, right? To your experiences, because sometimes you might think that people think you're crazy, you don't know what's going on, things like that, but you got to be that voice. Like myself, I never had a voice that I could go to. So when my life changed in 2010, I wanted to be that voice that I never had. I wanted to be that person of, hey, I was in a depressive state. I didn't want to continue on with life, but I experienced the power and strength of Christ within me, and Christ, to this day, I was through my darkest hour, and Christ said, this voice said, hey, I have always been there for you. I've always been there for you. All you had to do was ask. All you had to do was ask. And that was my testimony, and that was my experience. So I am that physical voice that's telling you, hey, listen to that inner voice within, and learn on the power of healing, the power of meditation, the power of praying, and put these into your practices daily. Put these into your practices daily, and it's going to change your life. Just praying and meditating every night, relieving that stress within your body, relieving that stress is so, so important. So important. Because you allow that stress to build up, it eventually is going to overflow, and that's where people begin to have emotional breakdowns, anxiety issues, different things like that. I get stressed out at times, and anxiety will pop up for me as well. And that's where I just have to just pray and meditate and relieve that stress. And again, I did that self-teaching, and that's what you have to do with yourself. Is that self-teaching? You have to give yourself that will and intent. No matter how many people you talk to, you have to learn on how to self-teach yourself, and to realize that the mind, that there is no limitations with the mind. There is no limitations of just because you're a human, right? I hear this so many times, and it frustrates me. It frustrates me when I hear it. Is, oh, we're only human. We can only grasp certain concepts, certain ideas. The limitations of life, right? The limitations of life. And it just, to me, is an excuse of not wanting to go a step beyond, pushing yourself to the limit. Just like if you go to the gym, like for me, for example, right? I always overdo it at the gym, just because I push myself, and I want to do more. I want to do more and more and more, and that's my determination. Is, even though I am so tired, and I need to just say, hey, I've done enough for today, but I'll just do just a little more, just a little more. And then sometimes I overdo and almost pass out. But that's just me, because I'm strong-willed. That's just how I am. But you can also be strong-willed too, if you allow yourself to be. And that's the key thing, if you allow yourself to be. So, yeah, that's that's my story with meditation. And hopefully some of these techniques will help you out in some way. And just realize, that it's a self-learning process. It's self-teaching. You know, I didn't know what I was getting myself into in meditation. All I had was just some videos I watched that was just a fear. It was just a fear, but that didn't stop me. Um, and I had so many different experiences with shadow beings and angels and things like that when I was a child. The things that I saw through meditation wasn't anything that I hadn't seen before. So it's just a learning process. And I think one of the key things too is through meditation, um, you will see your inner demons within yourself, and it's not outside source of beings, right? These inner demons that you perceive within yourself is just these shadows that you're hiding, the shadows that you're hiding within yourself. Um, and I use these concepts of doors, of these doors, all these locked doors. And this was my meditation sequence that I created for myself, was all these locked doors with all these different beings that lived in these locked doors. And I had to unlock each door, let that being out, shadow being, that demon out, look at it in the face, learn what it was, whether it was a thought pattern, a process, a memory, past life, whatever it was. I had to sit down with it, forgive it, heal it, and then let it be on its way. And that being would disappear, and the door would remain open, and then I move on to the next door that was locked. I would unlock it, let the being come out, look at it in the face, figure if it was a thought pattern, a memory, a past life, whatever it was, forgive it, heal it, and then it would just disappear again. And then I just had to keep doing these same things over and over and over again. So you definitely come into that as well, because your third eye is in a imagination, right? Things take form and shape, just like dreams. They take shape into whatever you envision it to be. So say an angel to you has feathery wings and is just a bright, glowing being, right? And same with perceived negative beings. You can have them look like they have sharp fangs and claws and things like that. Your imagination is generating those structures. It's not means that being actually looks like that. More likely, that being is just a shadow being, but you are projecting it with an image. And that's something you have to realize as well. It's a complex system. Meditation is a complex system itself, and this just shows the in-depth, deep view of life, and that there's so much potential that we can accomplish in life. I mean, look at science itself. A lot of it is garbage, but there's a lot of scientists that have an open mind and that are looking at all these aspects. There is a spiritual essence that lives within us. They have learned that when the body dies, that there is some form of energy that comes through the stomach, up through the chest, and then releases itself through where the third eye is, the middle of your head. The energy flows out through that. That is your energy. That is your essence. That's flowing through you, and that's scientific facts. And that's why it astonishes me that people don't believe in the spiritual realm with energy and everything, and people being possessed by demons, and you look at warlocks and witches and how they control shadows and create all these creatures and things like that. You go into haunted houses and flying chairs and things like that. There's something going on. So, like I said, again, there's just so many testimonies out there that make you realize that you're not alone. Whatever kind of story that you have, whatever you have encountered in your life, you have had some kind of spiritual contact of some kind, no matter what. Whatever it may have been, you have had a spiritual contact. And that is your one step to discovering that spiritual realm. And we have to bring it back. That's what I'm all about, is bringing back the physical and the spiritual and merging it into one. It's all one. And meditation and prayer is the main tools to help people learn about both realities and generating it back. You know, I've talked to so many people who do not know how to pray or meditate or even know where to even begin. You know, where to even begin. So that's why I'm sharing my testimony and stories to let you know, hey, you know, this helped me out in my life. You know, I was able to heal myself and progress through life and learn a whole different aspect of life. And I put all of my will and intent into it. All my will and intent into it of what I wanted to see. What I wanted to see through meditation, through prayer, through healing, is ideal. So yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and end it on that. I don't see any questions or anything, so awesome. So yeah, so if you guys can share this, that'd be awesome. I also got a YouTube channel that I'm going to post this on if you want to look at me there. I'm also obviously on Facebook, but I got a public Facebook page that also give my services out there. So if you ever need any healing sessions, those are available as well. So yeah, it's just all about you learning how to heal yourself and just realize that there's so much more to life. So much more to life, you know, and how we can heal not only ourselves, but heal others that surround us as well. Again, we got to bring the power of prayer back. We really do, because that is going to be the main source for everybody's healing and change. So yeah, so I could keep talking forever because there's other stuff I want to talk about now. So yeah, so love yourself, keep shining bright, and I'll talk to you guys here in a little bit. All right, shalom. All right, and I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Shalom.